Welcome to Business and Beyond, the podcast where business leaders and big ideas meet real-world challenges. I'm Julie Wheeler, President and CEO of the BBB Serving Western Virginia. Each episode, we will bring you candid conversations, expert insights, and real-life stories to help you lead with purpose, build trust, and grow your business with confidence. We're joined by Jen Slightham, CEO of 434 Marketing and Consulting in Lynchburg, Virginia. Today, we're going to talk about website conversion optimization and why businesses can't ignore their website. Welcome, Jen. Thank you so much for being with us.
Happy to be here.
So, how do we get into this topic? We often hear websites are a company's digital storefront, but in 2025, they're more than that, aren't they? You know, haven't they kind of become the hub where all marketing has to come together? We don't do as much in the print or TV media kind of stuff. Most of it is housed within our website today. Can you explain why it's still so central, even with social media and with ads that are out there and AI platforms?
Yes, I do believe that the website is still the foundation, the marketing hub for all marketing activities. I think that what we need to do is ensure that your website, because it is the only online asset that you completely own, it really should be telling the right message to the right people. Today, what we're seeing is that we're wanting to really focus on conversion. So really thinking about how to optimize your website so that you can lead those users to the end journey, which is reaching out to you or buying your service if you happen to be in an online business.
Well, but a lot of times we think if it's nice looking, then we've done what we need to do. If it looks like a nice digital postcard. Why is that no longer the case?
Well, some of the things that have been changing. It's important for us to think about capturing that user when you have them, because if you're paying attention to your analytics, your traffic is
unique visitors
plummeting.
Yes.
Your traffic is plummeting. And so when you have that traffic, when you do get that traffic to your website, you need to make sure that you are fully optimized to convert them. And that means that it needs to be effective and not just pretty. So you need to be funneling them to that end point of converting on the site. Some of the things that are important in that user experience is clarity with your content. You also need to make sure that the experience works well on digital and on mobile, because we have a huge percentage of people that are going to run across you on mobile. And so your site needs to be optimized from the technical side to the design fully, so that what you're doing is guiding that user to that end point of converting. So less about traffic and more about capture that user, that potential customer, when you have them. So you need to be really strategically ready to capture that customer.
And when we talk about a conversion, they fill out, I want more information, they send you an email, they pick up the phone, something like that. They go down to the next step to become your customer.
Exactly. They're now in your pipeline. So, obviously we don't have a ton of e-commerce clients within the BBB. Sure. So that would be one where you're converting right there and purchasing a product. But for the most part in this market and who we're talking to, yes, it's going to be taking that next step, getting into your sales pipeline.
Yes, asking for a quote or, something or specific question about a service or something that you think you need.
Yes, and with traffic numbers plummeting, our clients are saying, okay, well, what are we tracking now? What's important for us to track now? Because obviously we aren't going to get the traffic numbers we once did. So what are we tracking? Okay, we're tracking engagement, we're tracking conversions. Those are the interactions that we're tracking now.
Right. Well, what's the most common missed opportunities you see when you look at small business websites?
Sure. Load times are slow. We don't want that. We need the sites to be, loading very quickly, because you could lose someone before they even see anything on your site.
And is that a function of how your site is set up, or is it you don't have bandwidth? I mean, what causes that?
Sure. It can be anything from your hosting provider. to how your site is coded, so how the code structure is set up. Heavy sites that aren't compressed, like the code base isn't compressed, can cause things to slow down. If you have a lot of things that are coming into the site and all working together on the site, that can slow things down, such as on the WordPress sites, it would be plugins. And another thing that can happen is a lack of clear calls to action. So it's really important to make sure that once you have that user on the site, they know what to do next.
Right.
So that is another big component.
So it is super important that you have someone doing your website who knows what they're doing. It's real easy. We always say, $50 you can get a registration and set up a website, which is what a lot of bad people do. But the reality is, if you truly want it to work for you, there's a lot of intricacies to it to make it work right.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And a lot of expertise that most of us don't have.
Sure, and choosing the right partner, choosing the right tools is really important.
So if you're not technical, what's a high-level way to understand what the user experience and conversion optimization means? We hear UX, UX, UX. Well, I think that's user experience if I'm correct.
It is. You have that correct. And user experience is, as you mentioned in the introduction, connecting people. So, you have a product, you have a service that you are selling to the right person on the other end. That's what you want. You want to serve a need that is the user, that you have the user coming to you that is looking for the thing that you offer. That is what you're looking for. User experience, UX, makes it easy for that user to understand that you are the company or that you have the product to deliver on that need.
And the one challenge I would give is if you're a small business and you have a website, have a family member or a friend go to your website and use it. Try to ask you a question, try to find information, and see what they come back with. I mean, we do that periodically in here with our website. Okay, go see, can you find this? Can you figure out where to request a quote on a particular business or on a group of businesses? How easy is it to navigate?
Yeah, exactly. That's a great thing to do. And not only is it easy for small and mid-sized businesses that are already running on almost empty to just go, my website's there, I don't need to worry about it.
It's going to run itself.
Right. But also, even if you are looking at the website, you're looking at it through your lens. And so it's really important to ask people, there are obviously tools out there that you can use to do that as well. And heat mapping tools and things like that. We can talk about it in a bit. But you also just asking someone who isn't intimately inside your business to just simply go and try to find information and give you that feedback. And
I think unfortunately your eyes will be open pretty quickly. At least my experience is when you a lot of sites out there need some help and need a lot of work. So.
And I don't think I answered your question about conversion, but conversion optimization is guiding that user to take that action. So that is how you would describe conversion.
Okay. Well, performance and technical factors, site speed, core web vitals tie into the conversions. You mentioned a little bit the importance of pretty quick speed, but what other things do we need to be aware of in that?
Sure, yeah. Site speed is really important, the load times on the site. Core web vitals, that would be loading, interactivity, and stability, and those things all directly affect both SEO and UX. So you do need to understand how your site is performing currently so that you do have some answers from how your site is performing so that you can take actions to improve it.
And figure out if you've improved. That's the other thing. You have to have a baseline before you can know if you're doing the right thing. So, what role does messaging and content play in that conversion-focused marketing?
So this is something that we are really passionate about when we work with clients. So you really need to understand what messages get across to the right users. Mm-hmm. And sometimes that's really hard to identify. And so, again, I think that's another opportunity where you might need outside help to help figure out what that key messages, because it is incredibly important. It's important to make sure that you understand your audience's pain points and needs, and then you need to make sure that your website speaks to those pain points and needs. So that's really important. Another thing that's really important is to understand your unique value propositions. So what do you bring uniquely that your competitors don't? So not only do you need to understand it, but then you also, again, you need to communicate that on your website as well. And then we're talking a lot with the, increase in the amount of AI generated content that's on the web. You need to make sure that you are displaying and having narratives on your site as if it's conversation and very much human oriented, and that's going to build that trust and guide those leads to take action on your website as well.
So if you're trying to figure out which if your customer likes this or that, do you ever recommend A/B testing?
Oh, for sure.
Do you? Okay.
Yeah.
So where there's two different versions and it's just random as to who gets which.
Yes, and that helps you understand a lot. And there are lots of tools out there that you can do that with.
Right.
But between A/B testing and heat maps, that will, if you can't pay for live user testing or get your friends and family to test your website for you, those looking for tools that offer A/B testing and heat maps are going to be really helpful for you to understand how people are currently using your site and be able to take that as action items that you can try. If I do this instead of this, then what will happen? Will I convert more leads? Well,
since none of us are ever without our mobile device in our hand, how important is mobile first as we're talking about all this optimization?
Sure. I mean, mobile is 60% of traffic across the board.
Wow.
So it is a huge percentage. And even beyond that, we're seeing like Gen Z they're
80, 90.
It's really high. And even where they're going to look for their information, they're spending 40% of their time, they're doing searches on Instagram and TikTok. So, it is, people are on their phones. And people, what they're expecting is fast, easy experience. So you can't just build a desktop website that looks beautiful when you have your computer open or even your iPad. It really needs to be thought through on how it is rendering on every size device. So the way that we build sites is we call it's fluid mobile responsive design. So it understands what to do regardless of the size of your large cell phone to your small iPad to your large monitor at work. So it's not just important, it's imperative at this point.
Yes.
And it needs to be optimized not just for the visual, but the experience of it. So how you're tapping, how you're scrolling, how you might be swiping. You need to be thinking about every little piece of how they're getting to your content and how they're getting to those conversion points on a mobile device. So poor mobile user experience, you will lose leads very quickly. And as we already discussed, we're already seeing lower traffic numbers. So it's really important that you're putting your best foot forward when you do get that traffic to your website.
Right. Well, how does a website build brand trust beyond just looking pretty?
Sure. Consistent branding and tone. So again, going back to you need to understand your messaging and what really works, and then you need to make sure that your website is updated to that and it's speaking that well across the website. One of the things that we have started doing with clients is an annual refresh, but from really a brand messaging standpoint, because things do change.
Sure.
I'm in the process of trying to restate what my company does. It happens all the time. So it's really important that you take a minute to go, how am I being represented on my own website? Because that should be that core messaging for what they're experiencing. Another thing that's important is, we talk about it all the time, but reviews, testimonials, and case studies, those are really important as well. So make sure that you're asking for those reviews and testimonials. If you do have opportunity to share case studies and develop those are really great trust signals that will create more engagement with your users as well. And then it also is important to think about security. That's a trust factor. So if you don't have an SSL on your website, that's a must.
Need one, yeah.
Yep. But things like your awards, trust badges, and of course the BBB seal. If you're a BBB business, it's
important.
Just reach out to Julie and she'll let you know exactly how to get that seal on your website.
Exactly. Well, so how does ongoing support and maintenance, you kind of mentioned it, factor into your long-term success?
Right. Websites aren't set it and forget it. They're not just a digital business card anymore. So you do need to be paying attention to it. You need to make sure it has regular updates from copy to design to just like the core structure from a code perspective, hosting and plugins being updated. Those are all important. They all matter when it comes down to making sure that your site is ready for those users. The goal being that you have a secure, fast, easy to navigate site that is aligned with your core messaging and what you offer.
Right. Well, what new trends are you seeing in web design or user experience, and which ones do you think are going to stick around?
Oh, I'm not
Get
much.
your crystal ball.
I know. I'm not
on.
much of a conjecture person. I usually leave that to my husband. He's our strategic advisor. But some of the things that I do think will continue to evolve and be important are personalization. So you mentioned A/B testing earlier. Personalization takes it a step further than that, where via tracking on individual devices, they can start to understand that user across the web, and they can present different information based on the data that is already out there. So they might be targeting, you to really focus on the authenticity and the trust, because they know that that's something that's really important to Julie Wheeler, the executive director of the BBB.
Right.
So personalization, where AI is helping
knowing a little bit about you, so that it's
and then crafting
gives you a
that.
message.
Yeah. So taking your core brand message, but then crafting that around and displaying something different to you. It's different than A/B testing, but similar. So if you kind of understand A/B testing, you can kind of capture that.
So it's kind of like what social media sites do with all the content they give you based on previous things you've looked at or what they know about you,
how old you are, what you do for work.
Which is way too much.
It's quite uncomfortable sometimes. So I do think that personalization is going to be something. There are a lot of tools out there that you can integrate with your website that are CRMs or client relationship managers. And so especially if you've got people that are coming to your site and then coming back again, there are things built into some of those tools where, they can start to craft that narrative and try to push you along that pipeline, that user journey a little bit faster.
Get you to the next step.
Another thing that has been coming up a lot is accessibility. So from accessibility is very, very broad. So we want it to be, we want all websites to be accessible for all people. But I think when it comes down to actually serving all populations, you probably need to talk to your web host or web provider and talk to them about accessibility for even down the lines of disabilities and things of that nature as well. And one other thing that is definitely we're going to see more and more of. We've seen chatbots for years.
Yes, but now it's crazy.
But now the chatbots are a lot more helpful. So you're going to see a lot more chatbots. So if you are looking and you're seeing that your competitors are using a chatbot, you might want to consider it. What's really great about the chatbots now is they're a lot easier to train to give helpful information than they were when they first came out. So you're definitely going to see a lot more AI.
They've gotten smarter as we've moved on. What tools do small businesses need to pay attention to? Because if we try to do all of it, we're going to go run screaming from the room probably.
Yes. So we've talked a little bit about heat mapping tools. We can put a list of some heat mapping tools maybe in the show notes as a quick reference. But Hotjar, Mouseflow, those are super helpful for getting UX insights. You definitely need, Google is still kind of the giant. So you definitely need to be looking at Google Analytics. GA4 is their latest version, and Google's Search Console. So those are tools that you definitely need to be using to be monitoring how your site is doing. You can use Page Speed Insights to see how your site is performing from a speed perspective, and try not to get overwhelmed.
Yes.
There are a lot of
easier
tools.
said than done.
Yes, there are a lot of tools out there. Those would be kind of the core that we would recommend. And if you're feeling overwhelmed with data, find someone who understands the data and can help you get to the data that you need. That's one of the things that we found when Google came out with GA4 is it was so much harder to find the basic information that you were looking for. And then every time you logged in, it looked different. And so trying to find a way to streamline and get that information in as simple of a form for you to be able to make decisions would be what my recommendation would be.
We've mentioned heat mapping several times, and I know what that is. Do you want to define what that is? Because that may not be a well-known term for everybody.
Sure. I like to picture the military goggles when they like you can look through and it's like nighttime vision, and then you can see the actual heat of the bodies through okay. So that's heat mapping, but on your website. And so when you have a heat map tool, which you just install as like a code on your website that can be done through, we use Google a lot. That can be done through Google Tag Manager pretty easily. So you just install that on your site, and then you'll be able to go in and you'll be able to see where people are spending time, where they are scrolling quickly, where they are clicking, where they are hovering.
And where they're leaving.
And then where they're leaving, yes. So you can see, I made this page, super long, and no one ever made it to the bottom. So don't put my call to action at the very bottom of the page because no one's seeing it.
Right.
I need to put a call to action higher on the page. So that heat mapping is really helpful because we're not doing any creepy watching of people, but we're able to see how people are using
so it's not just what pages, it's actually within the pages, what they click, where they go. Okay.
Yes. Yeah, where Google Analytics is going to, well, you can really get a lot of data out of it, but it is hard to find exactly what you're looking for. And that's usually why it's helpful to work with a partner to say, okay, from your business perspective, what do you need to know? Okay, then let us help you find that data.
I have found all those analytic tools, whether it's Google or Adobe, are incredibly difficult to use unless it's your life, unless you are a tech person.
Oh, even if you run a business that does these things,
you still have to read.
Yeah, they change it all the time.
Like the algorithm changing on a daily basis.
Yeah.
So, okay. Well, how does conversion optimization tie back to different marketing channels like SEO, ads, and social?
Sure. I mean, we see the website as the destination for all of your campaigns. So if you're going to be sending people to your website via your Google campaigns or your Facebook campaigns or whatever campaigns you're running, your email campaigns, your website is central to all of that. So it cannot be ignored. If you've got their attention from an ad and then they get to your site and now all of a sudden the site is not loading for them, or they can't find a call to action, or that you're not giving them those opportunities to convert, then that's a problem. You spend all this money on this marketing campaign, developing it, launching it, if it's paid ads, paying for it, and now you're not getting the conversion that you were looking for. So it's really important that that website experience is all of the things that we've discussed. It's clear, it's easy to follow, easy to navigate, and that call to action is right there and ready for them.
Right. So all your direct mail, email, everything should be going back to a place on your website that you can track.
I do think that that's a great way to track the success of your campaigns. Not every ad will direct them to your website, but it is a great way to track it. So that's one reason why we believe that your website should be kind of your marketing hub for all your campaigns. And then, the other reason would be you don't know that they're not just going to go to your website. Even if you sent them to a different link via a QR code or whatever, they still might see your branding and just go direct to your homepage of your website. So you can't ignore your website, even if you're not necessarily pushing your marketing campaigns to it.
Do you use QR codes a lot? Do you think it's...
Yeah, you know what's funny about QR codes is I really thought they wouldn't make it.
They came and they went.
I thought they wouldn't make it. I really didn't.
They came, they went, and they're back again.
Yeah, but now that they're so easy to use on your, like, you don't have to download a separate app. You can simply just use your phone. Yes, I think they are here to stay.
Yeah. We found them being used for not so nice purposes, which is why I asked the question. So you kind of got to know where the information is giving the QR code is coming from.
This is true. The more people use them for interesting choices, I would say you're going to start to see people pull back and not want to scan the QR codes for fear of going somewhere that they weren't, intending to go.
Yeah, and that's why it's important to know the source before you click on it.
Yeah,
so that's
for sure.
That's my BBB message for the day.
Yeah.
Okay, so a business, they can only fix 3 things on their website. What should they prioritize?
Clear calls to action, higher on the page.
Okay.
That's absolute number 1. Get some testimonials or reviews, whether that's on the BBB site, whether that's on Google, whether that's on your Facebook. Go and get some reviews, even if you just have to go back to some conversations that you've had with clients and put those testimonials direct on your site. Get some testimonials and reviews out there, and then speed and mobile optimization. So ask the questions,
3 biggies.
Do the research.
Yes.
They are not small.
Definitely not. Well, how can BBB, let me get my plug in here. How can businesses highlight their BBB accreditation, and how does that help boost conversions for them?
Sure. That showcasing that accreditation builds that trust and authority. So you can put that in your about page, things like that. You can pair it, the logo and the seal, or even just writing about it next to testimonials for more social proof is what we call it, when you're kind of saying, here's what people are saying and how people feel. And then obviously put put the seal or the badge on the footer of the website. That means it's everywhere.
Right.
You can also put it, next to calls to action. So if you are a service-based business that you have people going in, you have your service people going into people's homes, that would be a good place to just create that trust. So yeah.
And the dynamic seal will actually take people to your business profile so they can see more information about you. Again, it does enhance that trust value, I think. So what are some low-cost, high-impact website improvements?
Sure. Add FAQs. So asking the question and answering the question based on consistent questions that you get. Simplify your navigation. So take a look at what you have going on in the header of your site and how it's operating on mobile, and try to make it as simple and the way that users would think about it versus the way that you would think about it.
Again, getting those outside opinions is big.
It is.
Yes, the novices.
Add fresh images or copy.
Right.
That would be another really good one to that way, to make sure that it's all looking fresh on the website. And audit your forms. So that's something else that we've been seeing from a heat mapping perspective is fewer fields, the higher the number of conversions and form fills you're going to get.
And we have actually found that through different things on our site that require people to provide information. Less is definitely more in that case.
It is.
Well, so do you ever think websites will be replaced by social media or AI platforms?
No, I do not.
It's got to be a source, right?
Again, it comes back to that's the only spot that you can completely control. So that's really important. And what we're seeing now with AI is an increase in brand visibility, and you need to make sure again that you have control over at least one area, and then you can go out beyond your website and make sure that your brand is being represented well across the rest of the digital platform. But really, that website should be the primary message and the primary point.
So where do you see websites heading in the next few years? I mean, obviously, we've talked about a lot of things we need to optimize and improve. And do you see bigger changes ahead of what they need to be able to do?
That's a good question. And I do think that personalization that we talked about earlier will be something that you'll see. Interactive experiences, things like calculators and, being able to test different things out. You're going to see some interactivity, I think, happen. Hopefully AI is a helper in this, and we have some of that predictive user experience that people start to value and enjoy and not be scared of. So I do think that's something that we'll see. And then what we're definitely looking at is a deeper integration with your website and your CRM, your client relationship manager, to where that's being synced even more to create a good experience throughout the sales process. So I think you're going to see that.
Okay. So if there's one mindset shift you'd like to see business owners take away about their website, what is it? Because we've talked about a lot.
We have talked about a lot. And something we haven't said, but it is something that I've been talking about for a couple of years, is your website is your 24/7 salesperson. So as a business owner, I appreciate the fact that my website says exactly what I want it to say. So not only is it present and there 24/7, but I have made sure that the words on the page and the experience, it's what I want them to be. It's coming from that perspective. So your website is your hardest working salesperson. So I think you need to really think about it from that perspective. And I think I'll leave it at that.
That's a pretty good mindset. Okay. Any parting comments, or that's a pretty good one to end on, I think.
Yeah, I mean, definitely, like as we talked about, don't treat your website as a brochure. Really think about it as a digital storefront, something that is working regularly around the clock for you.
Okay, very good. Well, that is going to do it for this week's episode of Business and Beyond. Thanks for listening. And Jen, again, thank you. I'm going to keep bringing you in as I keep having more and more topics, because this is stuff that's so relevant to all of our accredited businesses, or any businesses. So before we wrap up, one final word.
Oh,
very good. Salesperson, website.
Yes, and go back to kind of those trust signals. So it's really important to establish those trust signals, and you can do that through clear messaging, through accreditation, through reviews. Really, your goal is to meet that user and to show them that you are somebody that they want to work with for the need that they have.
And those trust signals become more and more important. As there's more information out there, we have overload. You've got to be able to separate the wheat from the chaff, as my mother used to say. So if you enjoyed today's conversation, make sure you subscribe so you never miss an episode. We also would love to keep the conversation going. So please connect with us on social media and share your ideas for any future topics or guests you'd like to see. And visit us online at bbb.org. Until next time, keep building with integrity, leading with trust, and taking your business beyond expectations. The BBB way.